All right, we are back, and I got this guy. I don't know. I think he just hacked my stream or something. He got in here somehow, but so be another fun one. I say it's going to be a fun show every show, Matt. So it will be fun. It's always cool though. I've had the opportunity to bring on like some people I've worked with over the years, so this is kind of cool and having the opportunity to work with you up in Virginia with the Fredericksburg Nationals was a lot of fun. So help me welcome Matt LeBlanc. He is.
How's it going, everyone?
How's it going, Matt?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So we had a chance to work together. Now you're living in my damn hometown.
It's true.
And what's weird is you literally can see my old townhouse from your house.
Yeah, just
like
a couple blocks,
literally on the same street almost. So
pretty much.
That's pretty cool. But no, it was fun. Had the opportunity to work with you up in Virginia. You were my senior sales manager.
Although there were many other things you called me by over those times.
I don't know if we can say those. Well, this is an internet show, so we can say some of those things. But
yeah, I mean, lunch intern was one of them for a while.
No, here's the thing. I wouldn't say that you were lunch intern because you didn't really get it that much.
Yeah, it's true. But when I did, I always found a piece that missed somehow.
Well, I was going to say one of my key criterias for being successful in my departments is being able to get my lunch order correct. And if we go to Noodles and Company and you come back without my Rice Krispie treat, there's a problem.
Hey, I went back and I got it, and had to finish the delivery there. But
you don't want me grumpy. I need my sweets.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had a lot of good times, and obviously a chunk of our time was COVID and how to adjust to that, and it was crazy, man.
Oh, it was nuts. It was nuts. Well, before we get into some of that stuff, let's give everybody kind of your little resume, like your journey that you've had over the few years. Still young, climbing that ladder now, but take us through your stops, where you went to school, where you're from.
Yeah, so I grew up about 45 minutes north of Boston in a town called Groveland, Massachusetts.
Big Cardinals fan. Big Cardinals.
Wrong. We may use the term correct a lot, and shout out Tori for correct. But we may use that a lot, but that is definitely not one of those things. So I went to school at a now defunct college named Daniel Webster College. It actually shut down 3 years after I graduated. So
you shut down.
Yeah, there were a lot of things going on there, but it was a unique experience. It fit what I needed for a college, and I loved my time there, honestly. And it also gave me my first shot into the sports world, because 10 minutes away from school was the Nashua Silver Knights, who play in the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, and they were owned and also partly operated by the Lowell Spinners at that time. So I got my first internship with them out of my sophomore year of college, and it was something that I'll never forget. It was probably one of the most humbling experiences of my life, and at the same time, it was everything I'd ever wanted. I finally found something that I felt like I fit, and all of my energy could be channeled into the right place. So I spent, after my sophomore, junior, and senior years with them, luckily with Lowell being short season and Nashua being summer collegiate, as soon as school ended, it was like a week, and then you hopped right in, and it was time to get started for a season. So
when did you realize that you wanted to be in sports, though? Like when you were a kid, did you know this, or was it like in college you realized?
So I always played. I was a big, baseball fan growing up, and I played all the way up until right around when high school got started. It just didn't. I don't know. For me, it was one of those things that just never took that next step, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I didn't really know until I got there. And it sounds cliche to say, but after a long first day of trying to get the stadium set up and ready, we all kind of sat behind home plate and just kind of looked as they were getting the field ready and all that sort of stuff. There was a college game being played there that night, and it just felt like home. And it's been almost 9 years since then. 2021 will be year 9 for me.
Nice.
So,
well, do you count this year because you didn't? There's no season.
I mean, a lot of times, if you'd asked me 5 years ago if there was no season, would I count it? I'd have said no. But 2020 presented a host of challenges for everybody. And so with all the events that went on and unique ways for teams to try to generate some revenue and keep afloat and do what they need to, I would definitely count it, because I know
still doing a lot of events and everything. And
for us, with the new stadium that was under construction, there was a ton to get done. My favorite picture of all time will always be that one from you where we were pushing those wheels of turf out of that truck. Like,
we'll get to that story in a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out Elliot.
So from when you got out of school, where'd you go from there?
Well, actually, it took a while. And so I have a fun story. My first general manager, his name was Tim Bauman. He was president and general manager of Wall Spinners. And him and I got along really well. And he was a fantastic person to learn from. And I tried to soak up as much information as I could. And near the end of my second year, we sat, a bunch of us were up in one of the suites after the game. We'd finished cleaning and getting everything done. And Tim and I were out there chatting, and I was just trying to pick his brain on, if I want to do this, what's the best way? And, at some point you look back in your life and you realize certain moments were key. And that was definitely one of them for me, because the thing he told me was, you have to go. You have to go out there and you have to experience what it's like to be in different places. If you really want to do this, that's how you're going to do it. And of course, as a 20-year-old kid at that point, 19, 20-year-old kid, all I wanted was to stay there and work with them. And so in that moment, I don't think I appreciated it for what it was and how well he knew me, and knowing that I needed that. Because if I had stayed at home, I don't think I would be where I am. The complacency of home and a place that you're comfortable with and really breaking out of your shell to go somewhere was his number one suggestion for me. And I'll always be grateful for that. We've kept in touch over the years, but as someone who, an 18-year-old kid considers a mentor, it was fantastic. And, I really hope we do get the opportunity to work together again someday, because I think he would be shocked to work with me now after being there years 1 and 2 of my career.
All grown up now.
All grown up. Yeah.
Tim, is he? He's president in the G League, right?
For the teams. Fort Wayne Mad Ants.
Yep.
And they've done some fantastic stuff. I have been
I see a lot of their stuff on LinkedIn. They do a good job.
And they were in NBA 2K last year as part of the journey. The team that your creative character started with was them. And so, like, for me, I had a huge smile on my face the minute I saw that, because opportunities like that are exactly what I always saw with Tim, taking advantage of the right moment to strike and make the brand something, big. But on every desk I've ever sat at has a little Lowell Spinners mantra, which is every day is opening day. You never know who's going to be there for the first time. And I've always carried that with me, because I felt that it was something that it rings true in our industry.
Yeah. So where was the next jump from there?
Then it was honestly 5 or 6 months of being unemployed. I was fresh out of college, and I had done a semblance of everything from marketing and PR to a little bit of ticketing and the on-field stuff. And I thought I was going to be naively thought I was going to be able to get a promotions job in baseball somewhere. And man, there's only one of those for most places, and it's a tough sled. So I ended up at the winter meetings that year, which was in Nashville, and I ended up getting a job at the Jackson Generals.
How close to giving up were you? 5 months for getting a job out of college, because everybody thinks probably coming out of college, I'm gonna get a job right away. It's got to be somewhat frustrating and stressful.
Yeah, that winter meetings was the end. If I hadn't walked away from there with a job, you know, they post thousands of jobs there. And especially, I mean, the years that I went were what some consider the heyday of that job fair. I mean, there were thousands of postings for every internship you could imagine, some full-time jobs and things like that. You know, I did the promo seminar that year that had a solid job fair, and I made some nice connections and people I still consider friends today. We spent some good time on the phone with Gian D'Amico, who was with the Hickory Crawdads at that point. But, you know, when we were trying to fix some tickets.com issues, you and me, that was who we called. And so I made a lot of friends and good connections there, but again, walked away without a job. So it was really tough.
So you got down to Jackson, Tennessee. Have you ever been to Jackson, Tennessee before this?
I had never.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
It's the halfway point between Nashville and Memphis.
So in the middle of nowhere, right?
I have a lot of love for Jackson. It was where I had my first place, and you know, really kind of started to
out on your own, right? I mean,
yeah,
you know,
and with no support, there wasn't anybody that I could go running and crawling back to if I had a crappy day. I was 22 hours in the car from home, so like that wasn't happening.
I think that's what pushes. I mean, you got to make yourself uncomfortable to really grow. That's
true. I mean, and I've kind of become the master of that in my own life for the last stretch of years. But the feeling of uncomfortable goes away the more you do it. Yeah.
So what did you do while you were there? Was it ticket sales?
Well, I was the group sales assistant, so you would think it was mainly ticket sales, but I was open to sell everything. If I sat down with someone and they wanted to put their name on the stadium, I could have. I wish I had. That wouldn't have been something. But so that was kind of my first foray into corporate sponsorships as well, and I had a blast and had some big deals come in, and I really fell in love with it. And so it was either there weren't really a lot of season ticket sales. It wasn't necessarily the focus. We had flex packs that were undated vouchers for people that the community ate up. And so we sold plenty of those, but then it was businesses and sponsorships or businesses with big group events. And so that was pretty much what I spent my 9 months there working on.
And our GM in Virginia was also the GM in Jackson back then, right? So
he was
Nick Hall back then.
Yeah, assistant general manager back then.
Okay, cool.
And again, you know, there's a lot of people to thank throughout this for sure. And, you know, Nick was someone that I still consider a dear friend, and getting the chance to work together twice was there's a whole story when we get to the Virginia part of it that'll be quite fun. But he was one of those people that helped make me feel at home. It was him and our concessions director, Jeremy, who I really felt close with, and you know, made some good friendships there. And that's kind of what helped me settle. Was I wasn't all alone in this. I had my work family.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important to have, especially, you know, in minor league sports or even, you know, pro sports, that first job for people. I mean, you're out there, man. First time living on your own for a lot of people. You know, it's not a college dorm. It's, you know, this is big boy stuff. So
yeah, we also, I mean, another person that we worked with that was there my first year in Jackson was Tori.
Correct.
And so, yeah, correct. So,
Tori Goodman was our director of partnerships in Virginia as well. And
he was the box office and merchandise assistant in Jackson when we worked together that first year. You know,
I think it took me a week or two to realize that he says correct a lot. And I love how he says it. And then it took me about another week to realize his wife says it too. And so that is my favorite thing.
Yeah, for sure.
From those guys. I love it. Correct. And I saved that video. So I have that on audio.
Of course. I mean, what else would you be able to spam in your group chats when people say things?
So, I mean, and we talk about this a lot on the show, is just how important like relationships are in this business and how small of a world it is, because you end up leaving Jackson after how long?
9 months. I mean, I was an intern. Honestly, had the opportunity.
Now, was that a paid internship or a non-paid internship?
It was technically my first paid internship. The other ones were for
you young kids, man. You get the paid ones. Back in the day, it was.
Hey, I spent 3 years where I wasn't really a paid intern. I mean, there was a stipend at the end of the year, but that wasn't year one. That was year two. So
after 9 months, you end up leaving Jackson, and what was your role at the new place?
Well, I went to Salisbury, Maryland, and closer to home, but also a place that I mean, every place I've moved, with the exception of Woodbridge, I've never been before. Well, that's not totally true. I was here actually as a child. We went on vacation and went to the Red Caboose Motel here in Lancaster. Yeah, so that was the last two have been places that I've been before, although not as an adult. But so it was Salisbury, Maryland. It's about 40 minutes from Ocean City, Maryland, which I have a strong love for. One of my best friends lives out there, still living out on the beach, living the dream. So, Josh, if you end up watching this, I'll be out there soon.
Yeah, save me a room, right?
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. He's always got one for me, which is much appreciated.
So when you were there, it was tickets again?
It was just tickets this time. Yeah, it was my first full-time job, and I was really excited. I was really, really excited, and to settle again, it didn't feel like a tough move that time because it had been not that long of a period. But everybody has that moment when you get somewhere, and I've done it almost everywhere I've been. Is, oh God, you drive in somewhere and you say, oh God, you settle into such a routine, and there's nothing that I have bad to say about Salisbury. It was just that drive in. I'm a guy who loves the city, and so like I drove in, and that's farm country, man. Out there is farm country, and it's chicken farm country.
Worse, more farm than Lancaster?
It's probably pretty close.
Really?
Mount Air Farms, Tyson Foods, Purdue, they all have giant chicken plants out there. There's a lot of space, and those giant things that go through the farm that the hoses turn on and it pushes it around on a wheel. I'd never seen those before in my life. I was so confused.
So how long were you there for?
That was a little over a year. We had a really strong season, and my good friend Josh and I, he was my group sales manager there, and we crushed it. We had a ton of fun. It was another adjustment into how a different office does things, and everybody does things differently. And so, again, I was lucky to find a really close friend right away, and another mentor in Chris Bitters, who really took his time to help when you had questions. If you wanted to learn, if you wanted to get better and you pursued it, he always had time for you. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago when I got this job and that I just took here. And he spends a lot of time up in this area. So I'm really looking forward to being able to grab a drink with him sometime and just chat, because I learned a ton there in terms of how things work and, the ways that people go about things. And going on a meeting with him, we actually went to Tyson down in the lower, slower Eastern Shore of Virginia, as it's referred to out there. And we closed a huge deal. And part of that was how comfortable Chris made our new client feel so quickly. And that meeting, I sat there in like amazement of how quickly the two of them made a connection and how easy it felt. You would have thought Chris knew this guy for 10 years. It was crazy. And so that was my first real look at like when you build strong relationships, how you do it and how you start it off. And so that was a lot, but it was a learning experience for sure, and I loved it.
And then you take the leap to go to Potomac.
I did, yeah. I was looking for more responsibility. I wanted more on my plate. I love being busy. I hate, you go out on a game day and it's like, you don't really have a time. I want to be busy. The interactions with fans are things I love. And I was just looking for more. And I don't know if I really knew what I was looking for at that point, but all my brain kept telling me was, I want more. I don't want to be just someone who sells tickets. I want to be someone who sells and does something.
When you went there, did you know that there was a new stadium coming or no?
There wasn't a new stadium coming at that point. when I got there, the deal in Prince William County was over, and it was the search for something new. And Fredericksburg came about maybe 7 months after I started, which was obviously a huge celebration and awesome to go to those boats.
That Potomac Stadium, oof, boy.
Yeah, but
rough.
Every stadium has its charm.
You can't sell me on that one, Matt. The parking lot, maybe? I don't know.
Hey, it was a step in the journey, and I'll always Gibson always makes fun of me. One of our corporate partnership fulfillment manager in Fredericksburg, he always makes fun of me for loving mediocre things. We were talking about basketball, and I was like, Kirk Heinrich, I really like him. And you just hear Gibson from the corner again with this. But so for me, I took a huge step personally there. And so there was always a little bit of a feel to it where fans had more access to things than you'll see anywhere. At any team that I've ever even visited, people had unparalleled access. And I think that had a cool feeling to it for the people that were really interested in, who these guys were and the future stars of the Washington Nationals. They had a chance to get to know these guys. And, the stadium may not have been the greatest thing, but the community aspect to it was awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely it's a unique ballpark. Definitely needed a new one.
Oh, definitely. Kind of like, please. I am definitely not saying that thing.
It's kind of like riding the hoopty until that thing breaks down, and then just going out and buying a new Lambo. Like that's the difference.
It sure was, man. It sure was. It was like you finally ride your first car all the way into the ground, and then you go, I'm going to buy a new one.
So how was that transition then while you were with the Nationals where, you were going from that old stadium and now you're going to it's close, but it's really a new market, it's like 40 minutes away.
Yeah. And it made it that it was a little bit further to get to the new stadium than it was to go to DC and see the Washington Nationals. And so a lot of our fans that were further north from Woodbridge weren't willing to come down, from at least what they told me. And so it was a totally fresh start and moving into a place that has screamed for a sports team for a long time. And I'm so happy for everybody there that finally has a team to call their own and a community center to go do things. I mean, it's awesome. It's great to see.
Those people are so excited. I mean, that market is very supportive of that team. So how did it go? So I got there January of this year. So you guys kind of were getting going in that market, maybe 4 or 5 months before I got there?
Yeah. So we started, ironically enough, I was working with our then director of ticket sales turned director of ticket ops, Alec Manriquez. Him and I were the kind of ones that started all of the tickets. We started back in, I think it was May or June of that year, and we had people coming out to sign up way back in November, December of 19 was the original, hey, we're going to have season tickets. If you want them, come sign up. And we built a super long list of people that were interested in buying tickets. And, we were doing double duty at that point. We had a season going on with a stadium that needed to be operated and fans that needed to be taken care of. And at the same time, we were really hammering getting our season ticket base set up. So that was a lot of fun to work that process with him. It was really the two of us doing it. And we had a good system. We got a lot done.
I'd say, there was a lot of ticket sales those first 2 months. You guys really putting it through. The excitement was through the roof. So, I think, so I get there in January and I remember going up for my final interview. And I was at the stadium and it's just all mud, they're just getting ready to pour. They're just starting to pour concrete. And I know from my first week on the job, everyone there, including you, everyone was concerned about the stadium. And
we had our concerns, but I think we all knew that with a solid company doing the construction, that we were going to be at a place that we could do something. I don't think any of us knew exactly what that was going to be. We all had hopes that we'd be fully finished, obviously, but
well, I think there was enough doubt that was contributing to some people struggling closing deals.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's normal. And I think that's one of the hurdles that we had to overcome. And you know, I remember it kind of coming in there that first week and just trying to get to know everyone, trying to meet everybody. And the thing that I always like to do is anytime I'm in a new situation like that is I want to have a one-on-one with everyone. And I remember you and I sat down because
it was like 8 o'clock at night. You had me wait. You're like, hey, I got to go into this meeting real quick, but we'll talk right after. And I ended up waiting for like 2 hours for you.
Hey,
big shot me on day one.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a bite to eat. We'll meet at 9 o'clock. Well, it's better than having you come in at like 7 a.m.
Oh, definitely. I'm a nighttime guy. If you need me at 11 p.m., you can probably get me. But if you want me at 5 a.m., I'm going to be grumpy and tired.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's when I come in, I want to meet with everyone. I want to know like what your goals are, like career wise. Like I want to help develop everyone, you know, within our, you know, organization. And so finding out what that is, and then finding out who's serious, like who really wants it, because everybody says, oh, I want this or that. But most people aren't willing to, they're not willing to put the work in. They're not willing to do what it takes to learn. And, you know, that was one of the things that I told, Mike, in Lancaster when he was asking me about you is, it's like he asks how he could do better, and then he takes that feedback and he works on those things. And unfortunately, that's rare. A lot of people will ask for it, but then not take the actions. And
or they really don't want it, and they get a little offended.
Yeah. And, you know, I think, you know, you even said, look, I just give me benchmarks, tell me exactly what you need. And I think that's important, is to have that good communication. And I remember you saying what you wanted to do. And so what do? We worked on those things. And I can tell you grew so much in those 6 months that it was easy to recommend you for, you know, another position.
Yeah,
so give you some credit on that. What's that?
It obviously much appreciated.
Yeah. Where's my bonus, bitch?
It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. I'm just gonna send you all this Turkey Hill tea that's all around here.
I know. I used to love Turkey Hill iced tea, and I'm so hooked on like Southern sweet tea now.
Oh God!
Like when I was a kid, I couldn't drink Southern sweet tea. It would only be because I grew up there. It was Turkey Hill and like Hers barbecue chips. That was my thing.
Yep.
So.
And you're one of those weirdos that puts chips on your sandwich, which I just.
How's that weird? How do you not do that?
You eat the sandwich, enjoy your sandwich, and then have your chips. I don't know.
When you go to Burger King or something, do you put fries on your burger?
No.
Well,
it's a burger.
You're weird.
Okay, can we get a poll set up after this? We'll put one out on Twitter on whether you're pro.
You probably are one of those people who puts the toilet paper over and not under.
I don't really worry about that too much. That doesn't really bother me one way or the other.
My daughter came to my house the other week and she changed the toilet paper on me. I almost flipped my lid on her. She put it over. I was like, don't ever do that in my house again.
You're so particular.
Yeah. So you go through, you're killing it up in Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting huge numbers up on sales. I mean, like huge for this level. You know, even reps at major league levels. You know, some teams don't even have goals that high. So you did really well. You were growing your leadership, you know, skills. And then you get the opportunity where you're at now, Lancaster Barnstormers.
That's correct.
Pennsylvania, my hometown.
Clipper Magazine Stadium, #1 ballpark in independent ball from our favorite people, Ballpark Digest. So
it's a great facility.
It is.
And it's located in a good part of town.
Mm-hmm.
People support it.
They do. I mean, we had a ton of people at this movie night that we had last night. We did like a movie double feature. It was Hocus Pocus at 5:30, and then we did It at 9. And man, It in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on.
Yeah, you bet you know who was sitting on the concourse where the lights were. This guy.
Is that a scare? Was it the original It or like the
2017 remake? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I stay away from horror movies. I did watch like Resident Evil last night. That's about as scary as I'll get.
Yeah.
You know. So when we were up in Virginia, there's probably a bunch of stories, but
so many.
You know, I think the interesting thing was like the whole group was it was a unique bunch with different personalities and, you know, just everything. I came in, I didn't know anybody. Everybody was a little sloppy.
Oh, definitely. And I was too.
Everybody was just kind of like, you know, jeans or whatever. And
okay, I want to go out ahead right now, and before this all continues, I don't even own a pair of jeans. So that definitely wasn't me. But I was king of.
You had a batting cage jacket on.
That's what I'm saying. I'm king of these quarters.
I was like, "Are you getting ready to have batting practice? What the hell's going on here?"
Yeah, I never went to a meeting in that. I will say. I would generally it was polo. I obviously could have done more, but when you started, it was super specific. I'm fantastic with really specific instructions. And the number one thing, the day I met you, hey, if you told me that I needed to, if you gave me a list of what color shirt and what tie I needed to wear every day of the week, I would. Like, I'm fine with that. But your first day, the thing was, hey, like, you need to be in a button-up. You know, maybe a blazer, something like that. But like, you need to step it up. And I was like, oh, okay. I can, you know, I've always been in, you know, offices that were business casual. And a lot of times it was polo and khakis and athletic shoes. And, you know, I was also a ticket sales account executive. I spent my day on the phone, not meeting with people. It was phone sales. And so I think it mattered a little less then. And obviously it matters a lot more.
You know, I look at it this way. It's just a good way to get you in the right mind frame from the morning. You know, from the time you wake up, you know, sales is about confidence as well. You know, you feel better, you know, you just, I mean, you could see the difference, you know, in a pretty short period of time, you know, in the front office, the morale, you know, the energy, and everyone started killing it. Everybody. I mean, there's people who hadn't had a sale in 4 months that
caught fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cool thing is everyone was part of it. Like, it's not like we had one person that didn't produce or this or that. And then, you know, at that point I was traveling back and forth between Orlando and Virginia weekly or every other week. And
that was an adjustment for us.
But I was still working when I was in.
Oh no, you totally were.
I was talking to guys, and the gong. I'd get videos or FaceTimes of people, you know, hitting the gong. And
you must have got 100 FaceTime calls from me your first 2 weeks. It was always, oh, we got another one. I'm going to send it to Andrew. It's a Friday. He's flying back for the games down in Florida this weekend, so we're going to send him this video.
Ownership probably didn't like our excitement maybe as much as we did, but
I think they enjoyed the fact that there was money coming in, man.
We're gonna celebrate those victories. We're gonna have some fun. COVID hit, and it's like, what the hell? What are we gonna do now? And with COVID, you know, we basically lost almost half of our staff.
We did
from our departments. So that made it tough. And then, you know, everybody else is like, what do we do? What are we doing? And there's no answers from anybody, you know, and
there were no answers to give. It's not like there was anybody that was hiding information from us. There was nothing to give us. Nobody had.
No, that's what I'm saying. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Man, that's scary. I'm like, damn, I just came up here from Florida, you know, it was tough. And, you know, a couple, you know, Jimmy and Allie, you know, it's their first job out of school, you know, and it was tough.
Gives them too.
I think, well, you know, I think after like a week or so, we finally kind of got things going. I was like, well, we started having people on our daily Zoom calls. And I'm sure
that was a few weeks. That first week was a disaster for everyone. We had tech issues like you can't even believe. I mean, we were trying to set up the ability to get into our computers through a VPN and tickets.com's VPN and everybody's home computers, and then the phones and how to get them transferred to our cell phones. And it was a solid week of like, I thought my head was going to explode every day. Cause it was like,
did you guys talk a lot of shit because I made us do all those Zoom calls? I mean, we were doing like a Zoom call every morning at 9, every afternoon at 4.
I think it was really good for structure in a time that the world didn't have structure, you know, and yes, part of it was we got off to a little bit of a slow start in terms of sales, but what we did sales wise during quarantine was amazing. And a lot of that came from the structure, in my opinion. I mean, we were doing the right things beforehand, but I think it's very easy to say, oh, well, I'm working from home now, you know, and I did this, and it works for me because if you know me and have worked with me, then you know I'm king, has a headphone in all the time because the background noise is what keeps my brain busy while I do the things that I need to do. But like, if you're used to like just a work environment that doesn't have any distractions and stuff like that, now all of a sudden you're at home and the TV's on and you're replaying a movie that you love or whatever, and it's like it just takes such a little amount of time to get so distracted that you're not going to get anything done. And I think that happened for a lot of people. I think one, there wasn't a lot for them to do as salespeople. If you had your job, it was like, hey, I need to, you know, build my relationships with my clients and make sure they're okay, and you know, let them know that as soon as we have any information that we're going to come tell you guys.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, you know, we started bringing on special guests on our Zoom calls, which I thought helped break it up a little. And, you know, we've had some great people come on and just, you know, to help us all personally develop with sales skills. And, you know, I know like Murray and you have talked, you know, after our Zoom calls and some other people. So, you know, it was pretty cool there. And then we kind of just figured out an approach, and it started working. The first thing I think when I first set up the Zoom, because that was new to me. We started doing, because we had a new stadium, we started doing live Zoom stadium tours.
Those were fun.
And it was a lot of fun. And so each sales rep would invite either current clients or people they're working with to a live Zoom, and we would basically, me and the rep would do a walkthrough of the stadium with our cell phones. And I can't tell you how many deals that probably closed for us. I mean, it was huge. Yeah, and the reception was great. And then we did a couple where it was like all of us, where we, you know, stood at different areas, and you know, it was really cool.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And we all were on the Zoom ourselves, and it was like, all right, it's time to unmute myself. Now's my chance. Like, that one I loved. I loved that one because it incorporated everybody, and it was just such a cool thing. And we were sending out links to that for weeks.
Yeah, I have all the videos on YouTube, so we should do like a blooper reel at some point.
Oh god, there was some doozies of bloopers. But funny enough, the other thing we did at one point was we did interviews with our own staff. Yeah. I did most of the interviewing, except for obviously, I think 2. I think Elliot did Mackenzie's and Tori did mine. Okay. But funny enough, when I was up here for my interview, one of my now owners, I was sitting upstairs in the office waiting. You know, Mike was on a lead call, and so I was early, obviously, because I'm paranoid about being late for anything. Catch me at an airport. If my flight's at 7, I'm going to be there at like 2. It's terrifying. I'm so afraid of missing my flight. So I was there early, and and Rob, one of our owners, came out, and we were chatting a little bit, and he was like, "Oh, well, I saw your YouTube video," and honest to God, with a name like
on YouTube.
well, no, honest to God, with a name like Matt LeBlanc, you know how many people like make friends jokes? I literally bought a sandwich the other day, and the lady was like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "Come on, I'm just here to buy a sandwich. Like, why are you doing this?" Like, she saw my name pop up on the receipt. On the receipt of all things, why are you looking at that? But so I thought he was messing with me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I got a ton of funny bloopers on there, whatever." Like, I literally thought he was talking about like that he was making some friends related joke. No, he was watching the video interview that I did with Tori. And so like when I put 2 and 2 together later, I was like, one, how cool is that in terms of them being able to get to know me a little bit before actually meeting me, and also how invested he was in my interview. I mean, how many places do you go for an interview with someone and they're just hoping to figure out everything they can from that hour you've got? This guy was doing research on me before I even got there, and it had such a cool feeling. And it was one of those things that you know pretty quick when you meet people whether something is going to work in terms of a working relationship and things like that. And I just got such a quick feeling of, wow, okay, this is awesome.
And those videos kind of came about because we were somewhat bored with COVID. And then, you know, I really tried to instill in you guys the importance of LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can be a very valuable tool. And I think you saw that because I think you had at least 1 or 2 deals that you closed because of LinkedIn leads. And it really just was, you know, build your network, engage, and, you know, that's the big key. A lot of times people will just go out there and connect with people, connect. I mean, it does no good if you're not like engaging with people on there or, you know, posting yourself. And whether the stuff is low budget production that I did on iMovie for our little, you know, interviews with each other.
Oh, man.
But you know what, though? We put them up on LinkedIn, and it lets people get a taste of who you are, you know, who we are. And, you know, I think it did well. But it kind of goes back to my philosophy is always like, you know, and you said it earlier, is that work family. And so I think the first week, it might have been the second week, but first time I was up there, I reached out to the Washington Wizards. It's like, hey, can we get some tickets? I'd like to bring the whole staff out, do like a fun evening out, just so that we all can get to know each other and just do something outside of work. And, you know, I kind of started with that. I thought we had a good time going up there.
Now, hold on. There's one thing we have to bring up with that. Number one, we had a fantastic time, but half of us missed a decent portion of the first quarter because we had a waitress that took 58 minutes to bring us our check. Hey, can we get our check? Sure. And she came back an hour later. So
what was that place anyway? It was right next.
It was right next to the Capital One Center where the movie theater is. But the food was good. It was like a bowling place / restaurant sort of thing. Yeah. It's a cool place. And we had, you know, we were there nice and early for the game and all that, but man, there were a few and I think were you one of the ones that stayed, or did Leah stay with us? Because about half the group bounced. They paid cash and bounced to the seats. Yeah. And those of us that weren't smart enough to bring cash waited literally for an hour. And like, it was like 40 minutes before the game started, 45 minutes before the game started, we asked for our checks. And like, dude, it was halfway through the first quarter by the time we got to our seats. Yeah.
It was fun because we also opened it up to not just the sales and box office team. We opened it up to everybody. So it was good to kind of see we had some of the creative team and, you know, us. But I think it's important, though, to kind of do some of those things and have those relationships, because it comes down to this, you know, fast forward, say 2-3 months, we're about to leave the Expo Center. And, you know, I just go back and am saying goodbye to Elliot, an ops guy, and could see he's frustrated beyond belief right now. And I could see he needed help. And so, you know, instead of leaving, I'm like, hey guys, can you help? He needs help. And
I was in my car.
I truly did not know what kind of help he needed. And part of me is like, man, I should have just left it go. I shouldn't. It's not my business. But I could see he needed help. So because I think we had that sense of, you know, family, where like we got to help him. And I was in dress clothes. I know I was wearing a polo and dress pants, dress shoes.
Same.
And the thing is, we're in the expo center. The expo center has their propane locked up for the forklift. Forklift runs out of propane.
Yeah.
We're unloading a tractor trailer full of rolls of turf. You're talking 15-foot long, like
1,000 pounds.
They're heavy as you can imagine. And so first we do everything we can to try to find the propane to get that working. And when that's not an option, I mean, we physically unload that truck by hand. There was me, Matt, Gibson, who's about 100 pounds.
But he's got the longest legs in the world.
That dude does have long legs, man, and childbearing hips.
Oh,
but
by his own admission.
Yeah. So it was me, Matt, Gibson, Zach, who was like a young ops guy under Elliot, and then Elliot. So it was the five of us. Yeah. And let me tell you, I thought I was going to die. I mean,
you did die. You missed the next 2 days of work because you had old man back afterwards.
Well, first of all, I would never miss work unless I was in the hospital.
You worked from home.
I was probably bitching and moaning the entire time. Like, I don't think I could sit. I feel like I dislocated my hip or something. We literally are pushing huge rolls of turf out. I'm going to find the pictures and try to post them with this video because we got it done. And, you know, but I think that's really what it's about. You have to help people when you can, even if it's not your job or your department. Look, we're all under one company, and, you know, when somebody's in need, you know, I want to be there because maybe one day I'm going to be in need, and I don't want to be having to figure that out on my own, or, you know, they were all trying to give up on taking that turf shipment, and we got it unloaded. It was in the parking lot for the night. And then, you know, the next day it got cleaned up when they came in with the forklift. So, you know,
one thing I will say is, you know, we talk about that family mentality. And if there was one person who I was always, anytime he ever needed anything, regardless of whatever I had going on, I was happy to jump in and help, was Elliot. Because, man, he did everything, man. He is a straight up rock star.
I wish he would ask for help, though. Like, he's kind of stubborn, like I am to a degree, like, and he won't ask. So you have to, and you don't always know he needs help. But yeah, man, he's awesome. I'd hire him. I'd find a position for him somewhere, because he's the kind of guy that will do whatever it takes to get it done. He's a problem solver. He's just a good dude. He's a good dude.
He really is. And there was so much that got done at that stadium, and Elliot was on call all the time. When the Nationals came in and it was the alternate training site, Elliot was there all the time. And man, it takes someone special to have that kind of work ethic and that kind of the drive to do everything. And, you know, I was always beyond impressed with him in terms of his ability to just get stuff done, man. Good Lord. You needed something done. That was the man you went to, and it got done.
Yeah. I felt like he was starting to get taken advantage of because of his willingness to do everything. And they just kept pounding stuff on him. So hopefully they have got him some relief, because he was getting burnt out towards the end of my time, just from so much, you know, to do. And he did such a good job. So
they do a good job.
Yeah, stadium's looking good. What other things can you think of from our time there? That anything was it easy working with me? Difficult?
I really enjoyed it.
Difficult now because it doesn't matter.
I did really enjoy it because, you know, number one, when you came in, obviously I had good numbers, but I was just a guy. You know, I knew what I wanted to do, but you know, outside of a small number of people, I don't really think there were a lot of people that believed I could do it. And so, I mean, my second day working for you, I got a promotion. That might have purely been based off of numbers because you couldn't. I mean, if you had only known what you were getting into back then, good Lord. But
shit,
you let me back into corporate. You and Nick, our general manager, were the ones that let me back into the corporate partnership world. And I had been fighting for years to get back into it. And you gave me my shot. And, you know, I hope, and obviously you'll have your piece to say. And of course you always say, oh, it was great. But, you know, I hope that I did everybody proud because all I could do was keep pushing. I mean, when I came and said, I can do this, I can help. It was, all right, we'll give you a shot. And man, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was going to get it.
He did good, except for, and the promotion became, you know, you got the promotion before you ruined my lunch and didn't have my Rice Krispie treat from Noodles and Company.
Hey, that wasn't the only time. What was the other thing that we went to? We went to somewhere else, and oh well, then there was of course me messing with your tea, which was always so funny.
Oh, that infuriated me. We would go to Mission Barbecue. Mission Barbecue was, I should be a co-owner of that place, but my tea, I love their sweet tea, and I noticed like 2 or 3 times it tasted weird when Matt would come back, and I'm like, he better not be pissing in my drink or doing something stupid. And he's been like putting lemonade in my straw, and it oh my word, that is like, you cannot do that.
Well, that was the little shoot back of you had me fetching your lunch again, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get him this time.
I just did not. And I would.
Hey, I want Mission Barbecue. You're gonna go there for lunch, right?
Did I not buy your lunch usually if you did that?
Honestly, I'd never use your card for it. If you went back and looked at those, I would.
Well, Gibson, he did. He bought everybody lunch when I would give him my card. I'm like, this is for my lunch and your lunch. He would charge everybody's lunch.
Yep, that was great. That was great. And then you get the call from Leah.
Yeah. Leah's like, why'd you spend $50 on lunch? She must like sit around lunchtime and just like refresh the online banking, or
she's got notifications. Yeah, she gets an alert when you spend money on lunch. Which she's probably right for having, to be honest.
And I don't like it. She'll say, "Hey, where'd you go to lunch today?" Why are you asking?
You already know.
You are. I'm not gonna lie about it. I went to.
Yeah.
Nah, it's good. So
good. Lemonade in the straw, guys, is a hilarious trick because it's just you take your first sip, and you, especially you, Mr. Moves the straw around a billion times. You would spread that. You took the first sip without moving the straw. It would have been straight lemonade. You'd have been like, "What is that?" And that was my goal. I was hoping you were going to take that first sip and be like, "It looks like tea, but it tastes like lemonade." Like that was my goal. And you're like the person that they get their coffee and they're trying to get the sugar off the bottom of the drink. All you were doing was leaking lemonade in there, ruining the joke.
Well, just don't mess with my food, man.
I never mess with your food. That's for sure.
No. So, I mean, even during COVID, though, you and the rest of the team sold a lot.
Yeah.
Still closing deals. I mean, I know ownership it exceeded expectations, you know. So, I mean, I think that helped keep, you know, the rest of the staff intact, you know, from, you know, more layoffs. You know, a lot of teams are down to 1 or 2 people. So I think that really helped. And the other thing that you guys were doing was building those relationships, though, with people.
For sure. And then the next part, the part that launched literally a couple of days after you left, was the addendum rollover process. Like that, the work we did during COVID made that so much easier.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, there was a lot of communication there. You know, we were engaging with our current clients because, you know, we didn't want to have a lot of people request refunds and, you know, everything else. So, you know, it was definitely important. So, but no, I think that's a special group, you know, in Virginia. I think it was a lot of fun. I mean, you know, I wasn't there that long, you know, from January till.
But it felt like you were, you know what I mean? The time, it's one of those things that you look at the time before and you go, wow, that time seemed to fly by in terms of like the scope of everything, you know, and you made a huge difference for us. And I think that was you personally, and then also, you know, you and Nick at the beginning knew what needed to get done, and it was just time to do it. And so
roll those sleeves up.
Well, no, not the sleeves. That would make the outfit look not so good.
Well, it just depends. You have to do it right. So like I have like on my, you know, cuffs, they're usually different if I flip them up. So it gives me a second outfit for the second half of the day. Yeah. So when you get to that next level of your wardrobe where you're getting the custom stuff, then
it was ties this time because we are a shirt and tie business here. And so I only had 2 ties. And I was on a Zoom call the week before I started, and Mike said, we're going to be, you know, we're suit and tie sales staff. Not suit and tie, sorry, shirt and tie sales staff. And we were on Zoom, but my eyes got real big, and I was like,
"You're like, oh shit! I got 2 ties. How am I gonna do this?" Hey, look good, feel good. I hate wearing ties, but you know, I think, you know, you're representing the brand, and I like the sense that, you know, you're out in the community. They want you to, you know, be professional at the highest level because perception's important. So
and again, like I love every aspect of what I do. And so when someone says, this is how I want my sales staff to be, I love that. I absolutely love it because you have a direction that you want to follow, and I'm in. I'm always in.
You need that shit in black and white. What? Tell me exactly. Okay. A striped tie or a solid tie?
Oh man! Hey, look. At the end of the day, the people that are successful are the ones that have a clear direction they want to go in. And so for me, when I say I love like specific things like that, yeah, I mean, if you came in and were like, hey, you need to do blah blah, like yeah, I do it. But the things I love are the people that have that direction and they know exactly where they want to take everything. And
there's no guessing.
There isn't. Because I mean, and especially when you have someone who's running it all, guessing leads to me not ending up where you wanted it to go. And so,
yeah, no, it's always good to have things out and define. Anything that sticks out in your head that you learned during your time that I was there, good or bad?
All good, honestly. I really had to take a different mentality. You know, sales has such a I'm going to get you mentality that even spreads to your coworkers. I mean, I've worked with and for certain people over the course of my career that would take a sale from me without thinking about it because it benefited them and it was their, you know, it was money for them to make. And that stinks, and I hate it. And the number one thing that was with you and now here too, which is a huge reason why I was so excited to take this job, is it's not about me, it's about everyone. And at the end of the day, if we as a team do what we need to, it's smooth sailing. And you know, when I was talking with Mike during my interview, the first thing he said was, I don't deal with cutthroat people. Cutthroat people don't survive here. We're a team. We're going to do this together. And that was the instant that I knew right away that this was somewhere that I would be able to settle in, do exactly what I need to do, and crush it and take everything that we want to the next step.
Well, and I think that's the biggest difference I saw in you is when I first got there, it was, and you were just competitive.
Had to be.
So you wanted to be number one. It was like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as you transition into leadership and, you know, you really want to grow the organization, it has to go from I to we. And, you know, I think even, you know, like the sales reps and everybody else, they saw the huge change. And, you know, I think all those little pieces of things that we did and changes were what fueled all that success that everybody had, you know, and from helping, you know, the sales reps. Like I always say, like, you know, if you say, hey, let's fire this guy, well, did we do everything that we could as leaders and as an organization for them to be successful?
Yeah.
If we did and they're not getting it, then
that's one thing. You don't ever want to think about it later.
You got to do it. You got to put people in a position to be successful. And for me, the biggest, you know, reward for me is like seeing someone like yourself get that next opportunity. And even if I was still with the Nationals, the Fred Nats, and I think you know this, but I would have still helped you get that opportunity, even if it meant leaving the organization that, you know, I'm running the sales department. I mean, and I think that's really where you got to look at leadership, and you want to be working with leaders like that. Like Mike is like that up in Lancaster, where, you know what, hopefully we can keep you, but if we can't, we want you to progress. And
to be fair,
the leaders had that too.
Yeah, and to be fair, when I talked with Nick after I called him on Monday, texted him on Sunday night and said, hey, I need to take one more day. I need to extend my trip. And you know, I called him on that Monday, and that was the very first thing he said was, as a friend, I'm so happy for you. And that was such a relief. You always worry when you tell people, and so, you know,
yeah, you don't want them to be down. And you guys were friends, and, you know,
and we are, and I really enjoyed working with him both times. You know, it was hilarious when we knew there was someone new coming, and it was this whole, oh my God, who's it going to be? And everyone was freaking out. Like, who's this new guy that's going to come over and start running this team? When we were leaving Woodbridge, and they introduced Nick Hall, and I literally stopped and I was like, are you serious? And I instantaneously went from panic of like, what is this going to be like? Is this something I'm going to want to do? I'm in. Let's go. And there was such an excitement for me right away because Nick and I just really clicked, and you know, I made a ton of progress here. And part of it at the very beginning, was him saying, you were in an ops role. I mean, I know you sold, but you were in an ops role. If you really want to do this, you got stuff to prove. You got to prove this right now. And I mean, I was like, I got shot out of a cannon. I'd never been so motivated in my career, ever.
Yeah, no, that's good. And sometimes those changes fuel that, you know, him coming in, you know, you already had some history with him, but he can help motivate you a little bit more. And then a few months later, I come in, you know, and give another injection. And now you're up in Lancaster, and you're going to have that, and just continue to use that, you know, fuel, and use, you know, keep that chip on your shoulder, because, you know, just because you got, you know, another opportunity now, and, you know, it's a title up, you know, you still have to prove yourself. You know, it's what have you done for me lately? And so, you know, you know, if you do the things that you've done that I've seen, then you're going to kill it.
And a huge shout out to Murray too. You know, we had the staff Zoom with him, and I asked at the end if I could pick some time to just kind of pick his brain a little bit. And he has been a fantastic resource of someone to talk to, and things to think about and learn. And even if it's just, I sent him an email a few weeks ago that was just like, hey, I'm really just trying to expand my knowledge base. Here's the topic that I'm interested in learning more about. Do you have any suggestions on either books or whatever to read? And he sent me back a whole list like right away, and was like, oh, this is fantastic. It's such a good idea. I love it. You know, and he was a big part of my job search as well. As, you know, he was out there when he would see things, he'd call me and say, hey, I just saw this, you know, you were doing the same thing. And ironically enough, you did the intro with me for Mike, and during the process, Murray called Mike and said, "Hey, I've got a guy." So not only did I have you, I also had multiple people being like, "Hey, are you this? I have a guy." Like,
but that's where those relationships are so key.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to burn a relationship under any circumstance. And, you want to be, you never know. Cause look at you, you left Jackson and then all of a sudden Nick's your boss again. So you never know how things will happen or what will happen. So relationships, build them, make them genuine, make them, two-way, not all about me. And, you'll see a lot of success. So I'm excited to kind of see, what you got going on. Now, when I go back to see my family, I can stay at your place. So I don't have to stay with them.
100%. Please. That'd be a blast. I'll make sure the fridge is stocked with whatever you need.
No, it's going to be fun to come back. I don't really get back to Lancaster often, but
now you have an extra reason to.
Yeah. No, I do. And I want to help you connect with some of the people I know up there. And
absolutely.
And I know my dad wants to meet with you as well.
Of course.
He's got a bike gang.
Oh, cool.
So they call it a club. I call it a gang. I mean, there's a bunch of guys with their Harleys, but
so it sounds like a group, a Harley night at the ballpark is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys do it there, but he was mentioning something about concessions and stuff like that, like working concessions. They're involved in some nonprofits and stuff, and they're a nonprofit. But anyway, he's like, "Yeah, can you hook me up with them?"
Hey, look, we're doing Christmas trees this year that go towards nonprofits. So Christmas Tree Lane is back in Lancaster County, and it's got a whole new spin on it this year. So if he's got a nonprofit he loves and wants to sponsor a Christmas tree for them, have him give me a call.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm going to have him get with you. Any other last tidbits before we leave? Anything else you want to hit?
I like I said, there's a lot of people I've thanked over the course of this podcast and this journey, and it's really been a blessing. My last tidbit actually doesn't come from the sports working side. It comes from the fan side. So obviously, I'm a huge Arsenal supporter, and I had my whole group up in Arlington, the Arlington Gooners, that I spent a lot of time with over my off weekends, watching games and doing all that. And we one of the guys, Mike Feinberg, who actually has a podcast that is completely focused around Arsenal. He does a fundraiser every year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And this year, Gooners versus Cancer raised $21,000, and I could not be any more proud to be a part of that group and to know Mike and all the wonderful stuff he does. And there were ties throughout the Arsenal community, from legends and players to all that sort of stuff. And so I just wanted to give him a shout out for a fantastic fundraiser. And $20,000 over 20, I think it was over 21 at the end, is just absolutely amazing. And so that's just, it's probably one of my favorite fundraisers. There's just so much going on, and what a good thing to support.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to see. I think it's important that, especially as you grow your career too, continue to give back, and help where you can, and it's not always about money. There's other ways that we can help. So, I think it's definitely an important thing. Last fun thing.
Okay.
How would you rate my gaming skills? Now I'm 41, about to be 42 in mid-November, but we've played Call of Duty. We've played probably Fortnite. What is there anything else we've played?
There's been a whole handful of stuff.
Okay.
But
So how would you rate my skills from a gaming standpoint?
Now, do you want me to rate this on an objectives-based thing or on a pure skill?
Be brutally honest.
Honest. Well, no, I'm saying the fun thing about you is if there's an objective, you're going to run right at it. You don't really care if it's a good idea or not. You're just kind of going to do it. And then if you find other people, you hide in a corner.
I hide. I mean, I want to, because my son AJ, who you've played online with too,
Yeah.
and Ed, and we consider you family.
Same for sure.
Like, he always makes fun of me, but because I hide. But the purpose of the game is to not die, right?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
But personally, if I'm going to play a game, like let's say, it's going to be 30, 40 minutes, right?
Yeah. So you hide for 30 minutes, and then
it's so boring. I'd rather die and start again.
The suspense of you like I'm crouched, and I'm just like under the stairs or something.
Yeah, and that would all be great if at the end of the day, when someone found you, you could do something about it.
I know.
Other than hand the controller to AJ.
I'll tell you this. I don't know if Fortnite's getting easier, but I've had I've had a bunch of kills in the past week. And usually I don't have kills. So
no, you don't.
That was good. And then the new Call of Duty thing that came out, the
zombies?
No, what's the new Call of Black Ops?
Yeah, the one that's Cold War.
Yeah. That was a lot easier.
Really?
Than Warzone. For me.
Interesting.
Getting kills. So anyway, we'll get online and play some video games. At what point do I get too old to play with everybody?
So I don't think there ever is a time for that.
Okay.
Because it's just a way to relax and a way to unwind. And sometimes video games get a bad rap because it's always kids and it's violent video games and it's this and it's that. But at the end of the day, for someone like me, when I move around so much, like obviously we talked about a lot of stops. There's one thing that's always consistent. It's that no matter where I go, if I called my friend Connor in Connecticut right now and said, hey, you want to do something? I can. And so it gives you a way to keep in touch with everybody regardless. And so, I mean, there's a great feel to that. So I think as long as it's not all you do, if all you do all day is, I mean, granted, if you make money doing it, hey, power to you. I'd love to sit here and say, hey, I made $500,000 last year and I played video games every day. Like,
but if you're living in the basement, if you're living in the basement and not working and and
there's bunk beds in the room.
So tell me this. So last thing. Yeah. So I streamed live the last week. I'm trying to, do that. Yeah. I think I'm entertaining. So I stream it. AJ rips the videos down and he's like, I'm going to make you a highlight video. And so I go into his room and he's like, hey, check out the highlight video I made. And it's like, he basically just rips me to shreds in the video. It's like steps on how not to be like a noob or something like that.
Hey, it's fun behind it. I mean, look, the two of you have stuff to do together, which is great.
So how should I compensate him? Because he would like $1 per view he gets on this video. I thought maybe like 25 cents, and it's going to bash me. It's basically like me. You know how when I shoot somebody, I shoot the sky.
It's like a rocket ship. He just shoots off into space.
Yeah. So it's just like, a little 2-minute video of showing my skill, like showing
making fun of you. Yeah. Yeah. If you see someone, what you shouldn't do is this.
Right.
You just running and hiding in a corner.
Exactly.
When things get like views and stuff like that, it's like pennies per hundreds or thousands of views. What if this goes viral and all of a sudden it gets 1 million views? He's gonna make you buy him everything.
That's what I said, and Leah's like, 25 cents ain't shit. I'm like, well,
on 100 million views,
if you get 1,000 views, I owe him $250. What do you mean?
And what if it becomes what if he puts it on TikTok and it gets 2 million likes?
Well, so I'm going to cap it. I might cap it at $1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, we'll say, okay. So when you get it, take a look at it. It's going to be fun.
I'll make sure there's plenty of views on there. So don't worry, AJ, I got your back.
Well, Matt, man, thanks for joining me, man. I'm excited to watch your journey up in Lancaster, man. Crush it, please, because I'll be honest, I'm going to kick your ass if you don't, because, man, I said a lot of nice stuff about you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Hey, I appreciate the time, and you mentioned it earlier that I really do consider you guys family, and we got really close, and you talk about work family, and so
yep.
Much love.
That's what it's about, though, man.
Much love.
Keep in touch and go Barnstormers.
Go Barnstormers. Hell yeah. Let's go. We got the L on. Let's get it. All right.